No, I did not go. I thought I had them. I went to an old one, but it didn't have half the words in it. So I was like, okay, I had to revert back to it. I'm gonna get them. All right. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Let me share this. No, because half the stuff you got in your closet, you won't get nobody else. You're gonna take the something block away from yourself and give it to somebody else, huh? These don't feel right. It says too tight. All right. Shalom, everyone. Wow. This is the last lesson. You made it. You should be happy.
Shalom, Moreh.
Oh, there you go. Goodness. Say the rules fast. Oh my goodness. Yes, y'all made it a whole month. Y'all should be good. You have your closet almost cleared out, right? I take that as a no. That's all right. Big is that what it is? It's a layer. It's the 2-room one. I got it. It's gonna take a minute. You gotta get through all them chests. Yeah, I know. You got too elaborate with it, huh? Oh yeah, you got to have a yes pal, and you got a no pal. That's what a maybe pal, yeah. And then you get tired and just all go back to where it was in the first place. And then you try it again the next day. Yeah, I know how it go. I know how it go. That's why you still got deep-rooted issues. That's why it's still there. And then you got a mess, and now you're trying to project that onto others. Oh my goodness, taking the goodwill, trying to heal. Trying to give it. That's the quickest way to do it, right? To get it to somebody else. And in other news, like, but that's all right. No, the thing is to get rid of the issue altogether, right? And then you can heal. But we got to go through the last part first. It's just your projection. You got to get rid of that first. Now it's just warning. It's not warning G. I had to fix that. It looked good last time, though. I'm like, I would have kept it. Just made the G bigger. But I know somebody that's not here probably would have had something to say about it second time. It would have been up there. All right. I want to take this time to explain that this lesson and the lessons thereafter are not based on any one individual, whether in this assembly, locally, or abroad. You all know that this is going to be a fixture now, right? This is a standard slide for everybody now. These lessons were not developed by myself alone. Yes, the Father has something, if not all, to do with them. If these lessons hit certain points that you feel or believe have something to do with you, all praise to the Father, take that knowledge and apply the solution to your life. Right? Don't just get mad about it. This is what? Oh, is that you said it is this velvet? Do not take anything personal and miss the message that is being given to help solidify your salvation. This is all to help you. All right. Rules. All right. Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There is a feature on Zoom in the meeting room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. Also, here in the assembly, if you have a question, raise your hand and speak into the mic for everyone to hear. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to time and the recordings of the lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. This will be mixed with discussions to help build one another. Please do not abuse the time. And you all know that I gave this to my cousins to be, so she can start looking at them. And she got her son involved, and he resonated with the lesson. It actually dealt with something he was dealing with at school, which is pretty good. And she also got my aunt to watch the lesson too. I was like, you trying to get the whole family involved. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you was kind of ignoring my family's questions, man. I took ownership. I said that was my bad. It was just one question. It was fine. It was fine. Nah, it was fine. All right. Quote for the day: the healing begins with you. Y'all think that's a true statement? Yeah. If not, then who? Hmm? All right. Our personality. Our personality type may be an indication of being triggered. Much of what we call personality may actually be our outward expression of the solutions we have come up with in order to deal with the negative emotions that we don't want to feel. A true personality trait given by the Father is fixed and static. It is the mold that we were poured into by the Father when he created us. The whole finding your purpose thing we were talking about, remember that lesson? This will help guide you on your journey. You remember a long time ago, we said that everybody starts out with an A, and it's up to you if you maintain that A or not. Yeah. Much of our outward behavior is not our personality, but only our vain attempt to solve the pain that is caused by our lie-based core belief. Or from a spiritual standpoint, to lean onto your own understanding. Don't nobody do that in here, right? I go on. Often our assumed personality is not something created by the Father, but rather a mask that we have designed to cover over that which we do not want others to see, trying not to give full disclosure of our inner man. Now, this is to some degree that, this is to the degree that we know the truth and are able to effortlessly walk in it. Our true self-personality will be made evident. Do y'all remember what I said the theme was last week? You remember all that stuff I underlined? Anybody remember? No? Okay. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's all right. It's all right. We are going to go back to deception. Maybe that might jog your memory a little bit. But what is deception defined as? He already had his phone out before the first question. That is, I mean, if you want to study, yeah. What is deception defined as? We need that counter on there. Give everybody a second. Nobody know what deception? Okay, not a man.
Shalom, Moreh and Mishakah. It's anything that deceives you.
Okay, I can go with that. Anybody else? Rabbi, you have the floor. Get one more? Who that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Yolanda. Go to Yolanda.
I was gonna say, I agree with what Naimana said, but also it's also an illusion because it may not always appear. It makes itself look like the truth.
It's a key point.
I yield.
Oh yeah. All right, go ahead.
I got two definitions.
Oh boy.
One is the act of hiding the truth, especially to get an advantage. And the other one is the act of causing someone to accept as true or valid what is false or invalid.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Let's see what I put. The act of deceit. Act or condition of being deceived. Okay. Something that deceives, trick. It could be a trick or a clever deception. And the similarities are what we call dealing or trickery. Now, deception may or may not imply blameworthiness, since it may suggest cheating or merely tactical resources, such as a magician. Magicians are supposed to be masters at deception. Double dealing suggests treachery. Remember, we talked about that last week, or at least action contrary to a professed attitude. Okay. Then you have trickery, which implies ingenuous or acts intended to dupe or cheat, resorted to trickery to gain their ends. Right? It is an illusion. Now, on the other side of that, you have deceptive practices, which is tending or having power to deceive or be misleading. And you say that, we'll say, well, what is misleading? Now, misleading is giving the wrong idea or impression. If you say that someone or something has misled you, you mean that they have made you believe something that is not true, either by telling you a lie or by giving you the wrong idea or impression. And again, similarly, we have something that is deceptive, confusing, deceiving, ambiguous. It's open to more than one interpretation. Now, having one obvious meaning, or fallacious, which is based on a mistaken belief, something made up or not true. And we will get to what fallacy is in a second, okay? Deceptive practices. What does it mean to have a mask on? In the literal sense, we start with that. I'll get to the figurative in a second. It's right there by your bag. It's right. Yes. All right, we go here in the room first. Yeah.
Oh, to have a mask on is to have something on to cover your true face so that people can't see what it is.
Yeah, that's one way. That is. Go ahead, Nanaman.
Shalom, to hide,
To hide?
to hide the truth.
Okay. Akuta Yolanda?
I agree with all of those things that were said, but I also believe it in another sense, and I'm not saying it's positive, as protection. Sometimes people put masks on for protection
Yeah, that
for
could be,
themselves.
don't necessarily have to be negative. Yeah.
I yield.
Hallelujah. Anyone else? You ain't got your phone, right? Oh, okay. Don't wait on my account. Huh? That's it. We wait on you. All right. You always gonna be part of the lesson now, unless you on the road. Yeah.
Here's assistant.
Oh, you got to look for it now. I think
I got it right here.
I think I may have got him on
I
this.
got it right here.
Okay.
All right. It's a covering for all or parts of the face. One is a disguise or to amuse or to terrify other people.
Wow, that's terrifying people. All right. It's a verb in transitive. That's the first thing, right? It can be positive or negative. Doesn't need a direct object to interact. All right. So to take part in a masquerade. Now, as a noun, it is a false show or pretense. And as a verb, is to pretend to be someone one is not. And again, like everybody was saying, it's to disguise one's true character or intentions. Now, this is a verb transitive. So what you're going through can definitely have an impact on how hard you try not to show who you really are. It also means to provide or conceal with a mask. And we see at the bottom, it says to cover up, and the mask is real purpose. All right, that is figuratively or literally. You have to cover for protection, which is okay. And in this context of this lesson, we'll focus on one covering up the underlying issue that causes them to hide in the first place. All right. All right, and then on the similarities, we had to pretend to be, pose as, pass oneself off as, impersonate, all the stuff that you would think of when it comes to something that's figurative in nature, right? You can stimulate a persona that you know doesn't truly fit you, okay? Simulate, not stimulate. All right. Time for you to take off your mask. Now, Another definition would be a mask that is worn can be used to cover up something, both in a literal and symbolic sense. There are a few ways in which masks can be used to cover up or represent different things. So, a literal covering. Masks are often worn physically to physically cover the face, hiding a person's features or expressions. This can serve various purposes. One is to disguise, as we talked about. Masks can be worn to conceal one's identity, making it difficult for others to recognize the wearer. This can be used for practical reasons or in storytelling, such as in a masquerade, all right, events or theatrical performances. It can be used for privacy. In some cultures or situations, masks can provide a level of privacy by creating a barrier between the individual and the outside world. You think about Muslims in that aspect. Or protection. Masks like medical masks or respirators are used to cover the nose and mouth, providing a barrier against germs or harmful particles, unless you got your mask made in India. All right. I'm playing this joke. It's not. Okay. Number two, the symbolic meaning. This is where we mostly are in this lesson. Masks can also have symbolic significance, representing something beyond their physical function. Number one would be a persona. A mask can represent a persona or role that a person adopts. This can be seen in theater where actors use masks to portray different characters, both literally and figuratively. Now, here's my question. Why figuratively? What would make their persona figuratively? It was the last similarity on the other side. I was just seeing if y'all was paying attention. I can't hear you in the mic. You got the mic in your hand. You got something. Oh my goodness. Yeah, pause. That is a really pause moment. Go ahead, Nanaman.
Moreh, because you are hiding something. They're playing like a role. It's a characteristic that's being portrayed. It's not their true self. They're hiding to become something that they're not. Maybe fear of rejection or what have you.
Okay. Remember the last similarity. Okay, you got something? Go ahead.
It says both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, put the mic to your mouth, man.
It says both literally and figuratively. So I'm thinking
but my question is why figuratively? We already know the literal.
I know. So if you in the theater, you're acting, you're portraying a role, but figuratively, maybe you represent a particular concept in the cast. Maybe you represent, a particular meaning within the show.
Okay. Oh, now you got some? Oh, okay, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
Yeah, so the reason. All right, so the only thing I was going to say, this kind of reminds me of something called Jungian psychology from a guy named Carl Jung. So he talks about this with the persona, which is basically it's the mask that everybody wears around them to hide themselves from the real person. Now, he believed this was everybody, so that's just going there. But persona basically is a whole different personality that you would put on in front of everybody else, whereas you had your real personality that you would either have only by yourself or when you're with certain people that's trusted. But that persona was what everybody else in the world saw.
Yeah, well, realistically, the persona is subjective. So, that's based on his own personality, his own personal opinion, but it is some truth to that. Now, do you remember what the last similarity was that we just said, just talked about?
It's become more deceptive.
Go ahead, let it go. Go ahead.
It's deceptive, Moreh.
Deceptive, okay.
It's a deceptive type practice to have that on. It's like either positive or negative. It could show like it's a false to show like pretense or disguise a person's intention. Excuse me, guys, I'm just a little short of breath. Or characteristics. So it's deceptive, I think.
Okay. So the last one we looked at was simulate. Remember, you can simulate a persona that you know doesn't truly fit you. You can put on something that you know that covers up what you really are. You got something? You can pretend to be a lot of things. Singer is one of them. What did you say? Oh, single? Oh, hey, look. Oh, I'm about to say. How about this? Sinner? Oh, woo. But that's not no better. Yeah. Wait, look, single was better than sinner. Goodness. All of those are bad. Besides singing, no, if you're in the shower, you can sing.
I could pretend to be righteous.
Yes. You say that in the mic so somebody can hear you. Go ahead. It's on.
I'm sitting here thinking I'm like, it doesn't always have to be negative, right? Because we put on the helmet of salvation, and the helmet, most helmets have like a face shield or a place that goes over your face, right?
It said something. Yeah, they can get that mask knocked off. But that'd be spiritually. We talking about literal and figurative. Yeah. All right. So we stuck on that one a little bit, huh? Okay. All right. What about concealment? Metaphorically, masks can represent emotional, psychological concealment. Someone might wear a figurative mask to hide their true feelings or vulnerabilities. And we've already been talking about deception. All right. Now, in literature and art, masks can symbolize deceit or hidden intentions. What do you? Are you Arabian Night now? Okay. I'm sorry y'all can't see that. It's okay. It's okay. You're not missing it. Emphasizing the gap between appearance and reality. You think when one of the Morehs ain't here, it'd be okay, but you got number two that take right over for him. It's social identity. Masks can reflect cultural, social, or tribal identity. In some cultures, masks are worn during rituals or ceremonies to connect with ancestral spirits or convey social status. Right? But that's not the tribe of Israel, is it? Huh? What tribe you from? Okay. We're still in definitions right now. All of this can be bundled up as a fallacy or wishful thinking. Okay. But in that case, what is a fallacy? Yeah, now we get into the good stuff. Go ahead.
I would say falsehood or a lie.
It's comprised of that, yeah. Anybody besides Sister Nanamana and Sister Yolanda online? Huh? You gotta get your phone. I know that they gotta get their Androids out. I know it take a little while.
Ken Moreh.
Oh, go ahead. Man, you know, okay. Oh, it must have been an Android phone.
Sorry, I had to look Sleeka. I had to look at the definition of fallacy. Of false, something that's false or falsehood, a deficiency.
I don't think they agree. All right, what's on the YouTube? A false belief? On YouTube, someone saying a false belief. Okay. Non-mono?
Shalom, Moreh. Fallacy is like an unfounded belief, or it's illogical. It's it's not true. There is no facts or evidence to prove it's fact. So it's an unreasonable or unfounded belief logically.
All right.
I believe.
All right, go ahead, Emma.
It could be a misleading or a false notion or belief.
Oh, I see all those other definitions came from, huh? Google.
Okay, let's see what we got here. We have a false or mistaken idea. We have an often plausible argument using false or invalid inference.
That's short. What he has said, basically. But you didn't add trickery or deception. Everybody got a false or mistaken idea. And often plausible argument using false or invalid inference. Now, this is a conclusion reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. It doesn't make it true, though, right? It's a failure in reasoning which renders an argument invalid. All right, then you have your faulty reasoning, misleading or unsound argument. All right, and the similarities are all the same. It's a misconception, a mistaken belief, and so on. Right. But look at that one right there. It says fantasy, right before illusion and myth. All three of them go together. Well, all of them go together. Actually, you got an illusion, a myth, a fantasy, a deceit, deception. All that is in there. Right? You're on a fantasy island. Some more ways we thinking alike, man. Yeah. I gave a little bit of my age, huh? Yeah. If you know about TV going off, you know that's one of the last shows to be on before that TV turned to snow. Wishful thinking. Can anyone give me an example of wishful thinking? You gonna go on YouTube about wishful thinking? No. In your own words, it's wishful thinking. You know, you talk to somebody and you start saying, I'm gonna do this, and somebody say, yeah, that's a lot of wishful thinking. Go ahead, Nadamani.
Moreh, can't wishful thinking be a fantasy when you're hoping for something that you haven't yet achieved?
It's in the title. It's a part of that realm. All right, Mike or Kanisha, one of y'all.
You never know which one we are.
Oh.
I like, when every time you buy a Powerball ticket and you start, thinking of everything you're about to do with the money you win.
I think that's an epitome of wishful thinking right there. Right?
That's what it is.
You don't get no better than that. I'm gonna do this when you get that money, and you already lost with the first two numbers. Yeah, that's
Yep.
That's usually how it go. All right. Anybody out there? All right. You ready? Oh, he ain't. Oh my goodness. So you mean tell me I can go? Is that what you're saying? Oh. This is it's not a part of the lesson here. I don't know what to do, Wishful thinking is the formation of beliefs based on what might be pleasing to imagine, rather than on evidence, rationality, or reality. Who that? Okay, hold on 1 second, Kels. It is a product of resolving conflicts between belief and desire. All right, go ahead, Kels.
Shalom, it's Elia. I was gonna add to say, can wishful thinking be a situation, the facts of a situation, but you choose to ignore the facts and have your wishful thoughts towards the situation?
Yeah, it's the same thing like Mike said. You got a probability of 1,000,000 to 1 to win that money, but you're going out there buying $20 worth of tickets. Oh, okay. Well, I ain't got that type of money. You think you're gonna win on a quick pick, huh? You said somebody said something online, or go ahead. What did they say?
wishful thinking.
Mhm.
When you were a kid and you were driving home with your parents and you hoped that they would stop at McDonald's.
Oh, man. Hold on. That might be a little bit of trauma and nostalgia right there. I don't want to go back to that first lesson. That it hurt my heart.
Only if you got McDonald's money.
Who's that had the hand up? Elia, you put it down? You got something else?
No, I'll
Oh,
put it down.
okay. Oh man. That was a long ride home. You went past some golden arches, wasn't it? No, it was not for you. Oh, I'm frosty top. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, we're gonna need that mic for that.
In my time, we ate at home.
Oh,
Everything was cooked at home, so we didn't have to go out.
well, that's the reason why we went past the McDonald's, because they said you got McDonald's at home. They do that. The first thing she'll say, but we ain't got the Happy Meal. You sit down and eat and be happy. Mm-hmm. All right. Christopher Booker discussed wishful thinking in the terms of the fantasy cycle, which he described as a pattern that recurs in personal lives, in politics, and in history, and in storytelling. He added, when we embark on a course of action which is unconsciously driven by wishful thinking, all may seem to go well for a time in what may be called the dream stage. But because this make-believe can never be reconciled with reality, it leads to a frustration stage. As things start to go wrong, prompting a more determined effort to keep the fantasy in being, keep the lie alive. As reality presses in, it leads to a nightmare stage as everything goes wrong, all right, culminating in an explosion into reality, which the fantasy finally falls apart. So y'all still don't remember what the theme was last week about being exposed? You can try to keep that lie up as good as you want to, but at some point, that thing will open up and it will expose you. Right? And remember, we were talking about inveterate too. Remember, you can turn yourself into an habitual liar. Trying to keep that lie going. You got so many lies going, you're gonna start to get twisted at some point. All right. Remember last week we talked about a deep-rooted issue being an inveterate, which can turn you into a habitual liar. And you can get so deep into this fantasy that you created that you will have to find ways to keep the lie alive. In other words, you have to find a way to keep the mask on. Hope y'all see where we're going with this, right? Now, in addition to being a cognitive bias and a poor way of making decisions, wishful thinking is commonly held to be a specific informal fallacy. In an argument, when it's assumed that because we wish something to be true or false, it is actually true or false. This fallacy has the form, I wish that exhibit A were true or false, therefore exhibit A is true and false. Wishful thinking, if this were true, would rely upon appeals to emotion and would also be a red herring. Anyone know what a red herring is? Okay. So a red herring is something that misleads or distracts from a relevant or important question. It may be either a logical fallacy or a literary device that leads readers or audiences toward a false conclusion. A red herring may be used intentionally as a mystery fiction or as part of a rhetorical strategy, i.e. politics. We all know that ain't true. Or may be used in an argumentation inadvertently, okay? So wishful thinking may cause blindness to unintended consequences. In social sciences, it's unintended consequences, sometimes unanticipated consequences, or unforeseen consequences, more informally called knock-on effects. Now, these are the outcomes of a purposeful action that are not intended or foreseen. Okay, so basically saying you can get really deep down in the rabbit hole trying to keep this mask on. It can get really interesting. All right. All right. What is a subterfuge? I know I'm bringing out some words for you. Yeah, they all on the same lines though. Huh? You good? No. No. I know some fingers is going crazy right now on them phones. Go ahead, Nana.
Mostly Kamori, they're all like similar. Like there's still like trickery, or it's still like, but it can be also like you can intrigue someone also. A lot of like you can also be used to intrigue people, but it's still in the line of trickery. It's still not true.
Okay.
Brainwashing too.
All right, hallelujah. Hold on. Go ahead, Emma. Go ahead.
I looked it up. It say deceit used in order to achieve one's goal.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna leave it right there? Go ahead.
I was gonna say something like it's extreme manipulative behavior in order to achieve your goal to deceive others.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Using some type of device to get it to them. Go ahead.
I say it's related to craftiness.
Ooh. Something we talked about last week, right? Akuti, Yolanda?
Maybe one is just deception. I don't know. Deception seems worse than the subterfuge to me. The subterfuge. Well, no, I'm just because I don't know. Deception. Oh gosh, I'm running out of time. One of them you'll use tools, and the other one you won't. Okay, y'all can patch that up as best you can. I yield.
We'll do a little bit of editing. You all good. All right. So subterfuge is deceit used in order to achieve one's goal. Okay. Deception by artifice is trickery or a stratagem, which is a plan or scheme in order to conceal, escape, or evade a deceptive device or stratagem. And look at the ones that are in yellow here. You have evasion, you have dishonesty. Now, not just with the person you're engaging with, but being dishonest with yourself as well. All right. Something that's cunning and craftiness is like Nabat said, that's something that we talked about last week, right? And then you have a masquerade again. Then you have a smoke screen, okay? A ruse to disguise someone's real intentions or activities, all right? Call that play action. Let me just hand that, just like you taking yourself out your closet and taking it to Goodwill. Giving somebody else them itchy clothes, huh? What are defense mechanisms? You got a mic, man.
Defense mechanisms are things that you use to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. So what we see last week that was called putting up a wall. Somebody give me the definition. I see fingers, but I don't know. You might have to take him to the hospital. Them fingers gonna be bent. He said he good. He been working them out. Pause. Anyone else? Keep this moving. Not a mana.
More couldn't a defense mechanism mean, couldn't it mean also a tactic that's used to like avoid like conflict or an argument or like anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
You
can use a defense mechanism because you just don't want no trouble.
Or you don't want to be exposed. You don't want your mask off per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, Rabbi. I said Rabbi.
All right, you probably don't have this one. There's strategies that are unconsciously used to protect a person from anxiety arising from unacceptable thoughts or feelings.
Yeah. You dig deep for that one. I thought I dig deep.
He was so disappointed.
Them fingers, boy, I tell you, it's you got an apple, don't you? Yeah. Defense. What he said.
I think, Moreh, I found something that really made me think for just a second. Defense mechanisms are psychological strategies that are unconsciously used to protect a person from anxiety arising from acceptable thoughts or feelings. According to Freudian theory, defense mechanism involve distortion of
Okay.
reality
Let me
in some way
let me
so that
just
we can do better,
Yeah.
able to cope with the
Yeah.
situation.
okay. Let me just everybody got an apple. I got it. I got it. Everybody got a good phone. Yeah. So let me tape off from where that top part is. All right. So defense mechanisms aren't inherently bad. They can allow people to navigate painful experiences or channel their energy more productively. They become problematic, however, when applied too frequently or for too long. So when we talk about defense mechanisms in a negative way, they are habitually employed adjustive reactions, which are concerned with making or controlling the adjustments. These are designed to reduce unwanted feelings by distorting or denying the truth. Just like Nanamai said, you won't cause no trouble. But in not causing that trouble, you can still be exposed if you're not careful with it. I remember last week we talked about control and ruling the conversation as it relates to control. So not only are you trying to be a habitual liar to cover something up, now you're trying to control the situation before you get exposed as well. Are we getting that? Defense mechanisms are behaviors that people use to separate themselves from unpleasant events, actions, or thoughts. The idea of defense mechanisms comes from psychoanalytic theory, psychological perspective of personality, personality that sees personality as the interaction between three components: ID, ego, and super ego. No, not a soup. It's a super ego. Right? No. A super ego is when you are completely in denial about reality. And you will do anything and everything you can to keep that persona together. Right? You are collapsing your ID and your regular ego in order to keep that persona up. All right. You said, Nanamana, you had something?
Ken Moreh, so this is basically from a Freudian psychological perspective. Ken?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got another question. When we're looking at this, so when we're projecting ourselves out to ego, out in public, so we have the ego, the super ego, or the id. What are we projecting outward? Just our regular ego?
That's subjective though. Whatever issue you have that's allowing you to put on that type of persona is what you can project on the others. And we'll get into projection, and I think in this next slide. So hold that thought. Hold that thought. So are we all good on this? And all good on your ego? Yeah. You saying you got a super ego back there? Oh, okay. Your issue should be yours alone. Talking about projection. All right. Feelings can sometimes harbor bias or otherwise distort veridical perception, which is perception that coincides with reality, and particularly through projection or wishful thinking that we just talked about, among other such effects. So your feelings and the subjectiveness of them can be projected onto others. So thank you for the segue, Nama. Okay. So projection refers to unconsciously taking unwanted emotions or traits you don't like about yourself and attributing them to someone else. Common example is a cheating spouse who suspects their partner is being unfaithful. Or when you didn't come home 2 minutes like you're supposed to, that. When you were actually the one who's supposed to have been home 5 minutes ago and you were doing it. Right? Or in a more simple form, to believe or imagine that one's ideas, feelings, or etc. are shared by another person. This can happen when you take past issues that you yourself haven't dealt with and subsequently push those said issues on to someone else. Okay? Projection is also a defense mechanism that we just talked about, which an individual unconsciously attributes their behaviors, emotions, impulses, undesirable characteristics, and thoughts to others. It is a way of taking our internal dialogue and turning it into an external exchange, as if our own beliefs or behaviors belong to someone else. You want to say the mic? Say everything need to be in the mic, so somebody else might have that same question.
So it's not really a question, but it's kind of like you having the conversation in the mirror
Mhm.
to the part of yourself that you dislike.
Well, you taking that part, will take the mirror out and actually put somebody else there.
Yeah, but the mirror is
You want to
another person.
use them as a mirror?
Right. But
Mm.
it's really, you really talking to yourself because it's really
Mm-hmm.
stuff about
You
yourself.
sit up there and you yelling at
dislike.
somebody else about something you read, you be yelling at yourself. Mhm. All right. Now, here are some signs that you might be projecting: feeling overly hurt, defensive, or sensitive about something someone has said or done, feeling highly reactive and quick to blame, difficulty being objective, gaining perspective, and standing in the other person's shoes, noticing that this situation or your reactivity is a reoccurring pattern. If you notice any of these, ask yourself, is this behavior I dislike in this person something I find intolerable in myself? In what ways do I act like this person? What types of stories am I telling myself about this person or a situation? Who or what does this person or situation remind me of? Now, thing is, with all this, you got to be honest with yourself. That's the hard part. You can ask these questions all you want to, but if you ain't got an honest answer, what's that gonna do? It's called accountability. Now, the danger with this is that you can go all the way back to the first lesson and bring up any tragic trauma or nostalgia that you have experienced, allowing you to push that on someone else. Not saying that you're doing it on purpose, but once it's identified and you still do it, who's to blame at that point? And that's an honest answer. It definitely is you. Identifying is one of the keys too. But once you identify, you have to accept it. And then once you accept it, you have to be willing to change it. And once you are willing to change it, then you have to be able to allow yourself to heal. What, you had a question? You had a glass for it? You hear me when I said it? Okay, you might want to put some glasses on. Okay, keep it on, man. Catch you on the replay. How can you tell if someone is projecting on you? I want somebody else to answer that before I put that up there. No phones. You didn't have to drop your phone. Go ahead. Okay. You press the button? I press the button for you then. You got it? There you go. I heard it click.
Know how to do this. Okay,
Uh-huh.
but if someone, for instance, somebody that doesn't know you at all, they've never seen you before, but immediately they hate you. You know that's a projection.
I'll go to you, Yolanda, then I'll come to you. Go ahead, I'll go to Yolanda.
When the situation or whatever the issue is addressed, a lot of the elements of what was said doesn't fit with the conversation. I hope I said that right.
Well, another way to put that is in the midst of that conversation, whatever's being said, you kind of realize that's actually the person talking.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Hey, but you're the one that always, I don't remember that being me. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have an example of that happened this week. I'm gonna try to make this quick.
Mhm.
My boss projected on me. Sometimes we get difficult people that come into the office. He had somebody come into the office and made him upset. I didn't know it at the time. And then we had two other people come in at the same time. So I had to take somebody, he had to take somebody. So I'm talking to him on the phone. He's like, who do you want me to take? And I'm like, whoever, which one would you like? I gave both names. He just started snapping on me. And I'm like, what is this man's problem? So I went ahead and just gave him whoever, and I got off the phone. And I got the person in my office, and this person had a lot of problems. I almost projected onto her, but I'm like, you know what? Let me not do this, because she came in late. So I had a reason to project, but I decided not to, and to deal with her problem. So I was on my way to his office again to talk to him, but I decided to stop in and talk to a therapist. And then she let me know what happened prior to me getting on the phone with him. If someone else had made him upset, it triggered him because it reminded him of something, and he projected on me. So
It's a trickle down effect. Huh? I got you, then I got you. So you had something? Michelle, you had something?
Yeah, I was just what came to mind.
You
If
can
you
put
could,
the mic up to you. Yeah.
you could tell if someone's projecting onto you, based on what some other people say, just like a false accusation, you know, where they just kind of come out of nowhere, maybe.
That's true. I got it. Hold on. Got somebody else in the room first.
I was just gonna say word choice and just a pattern of behavior.
You're a liar. No, that would be you. You the liar. Not a man.
Hey, Shalom, Moreh. When someone is having a really, really bad day and they start projecting out on you and you have nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah, that's what I said. They can say or do things that normally is something that they do that they're saying that you're doing. You're like, that's not the truth. All right. All right. So let's look at some of this. You all basically said all this. Blaming you. People who project their emotions on others are quick to blame others too, right? Having the victim mentality. All right, overreacting on something, nonsensical behavior. And this is a good one right here, gaslighting. Boy, you heard him sigh, because that's a young person's thing right now. Boy, they love to gaslight each other, boy. Repetitive accusation, right? Your mental health is worse already. Somebody already tell you, you already got problems, and now you want to try to add this on, so they go back up to gaslighting. If you can accept all of your thoughts and feelings and not try to get rid of them, you won't need to project them onto others. In addition, you will become a more tolerant and flexible person. Understand that accepting this is the key, as we said before, right? Do you want to get rid of these issues or block them out, or accept them so that you can move on to the healing process? Because the longer you just try to have a solution to get rid of them for that moment, it's just going to keep compounding itself. All right. I want to revisit scripture and go back to deception and see if y'all can remember what that theme was. Proverbs 26:16. We talked about the sluggard, remember? The sluggard, which is the H6102, and by Hotspell. With a sense of a lazy person, a person who is disinclined to work or exert himself. So the sluggard is wiser, and remember this word from last week is the H2450 as well. Right? Skillful, clever, experienced, wise man. All right. So the sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. What do you take from that? Is the first thing that comes to your mind is probably what you thinking it is. Oh, super ego, boy. That's what it is. There are 7 people in front of you because they have the sense that you think you have. Right?
I know better than all of y'all.
Yeah. Well, 7 people say otherwise. Okay. Speaking from today's point of view, if you're considered a sluggard, then this is a cautionary reflection on the self-deceptive tendencies of lazy individuals who consider themselves wiser than they truly are. True wisdom is built upon the foundation of diligence, humility, and a willingness to engage with others' perspectives and insights. In other words, you have to put in some work to get the desired outcome you're looking for. So my question is, are you willing to do this? Proverbs 21:25, the desire or the prolonged unfulfilled desire or need of a sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. If you're not going to put in the work, yeah, yes. I think you about to say something profound. You got to profoundly say it.
I got to put in some work to change.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I got to be able to admit when I'm wrong.
Hey, listen.
And expose, my perfect record.
Hey. What I tell you, application is key.
I want everybody to think I'm perfect.
No, that's.
I can't.
Huh?
No.
Got to come in the front.
Because I'm not going to change.
No. You need to go first. Go ahead. Just say what you got to say. Man, if you don't say what you got to say. All right, now, Namana.
Shalom, Moreh. Most importantly, I think you got to be able to humble yourself.
Yeah.
Be willing to humble yourself and admit your wrongness and being able to say, okay, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Go ahead.
This really, Squeaker.
Mm-hmm.
This really isn't a question. It was more like a comment that I was just thinking. Sometimes you can have someone that is doing a whole lot of work, but they're just doing it wrong.
That is true.
So like, but in terms of like what it says right here, you have to be humble. You have to have a willingness to engage with others' perspectives and insights, because, their perspective could be correct, but there could be another perspective just concerning it. We know Scripture is multifaceted. It has, well, I go with the 4 interpretations of it. So anyway, but yeah, that's all.
But what did I just say? See, there are 7 people in front of you because they have the sense that you think you have. Just because you're putting in that work don't mean that you're doing it right. And don't mean that, you're doing it in the best interest of you or anybody else. Or if you even have the right context as to why you're doing it. All right, go ahead.
So can this include pride? Could it be
most
pride,
definitely.
In you that makes you think that
man,
you're always correct.
Hey,
you know better than everybody.
Let me tell you something. I don't know why I'm not up here. He don't know what he's talking about. I can do this better than him. You get up here and you get to stutter and don't know what to say afterwards. Like my first lesson. Yeah. Hi. I am, you forget your own name, right? I offered it and y'all didn't want to take it. Y'all. I told you all you had to do was come up here and enunciate. You would have been fine. Yeah. Now he was talking about some Chipotle. Look, I ain't got more Lamad money, okay? Proverbs 6, if you would read the chat, you would know. Proverbs 6:16-19. There are 6 things that Yahuah hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. We all should know these things, right? Haughty eyes refers to a proud and arrogant attitude. So it goes your pride. Looking down on others with a sense of superiority. They go to superego. A lying tongue talking about sin of disobedience. Of dishonesty now, disobedience too. And deceit, which can lead to the breakdown of trust in relationships. And hands that shed innocent blood. This is kind of self-explanatory, but this is talking about the grave sin of taking innocent lives, emphasizing on the sanctity of life. Literally, figuratively, yeah. A heart that devises wicked plans, points to malicious intent and the planning of harmful actions against others. That is subterfuge. There you go. Your smoke screen. All right. Feet that make haste to run to evil represents a readiness to engage in wrongdoing without hesitation, indicating a lack of moral restraint. Mm-hmm. You know you're doing something wrong, and you know you're supposed to stay away from it. What you do? You want to say, I'm sorry, after you get caught. Yep. 19, a false witness who breathes out lies. The harm caused by bearing false witness or providing dishonest testimony against others. Go ahead.
They breathe it out. It's just easy as breathing.
Yeah.
It's like that.
It becomes a part of them.
Yeah, it's all they do.
Yeah.
Okay, we talk.
Or is that inveterate to become a habitual lie?
Yeah.
I hope y'all write down these definitions. You should start a book with them. And one who sows discord among brothers. Now, this is the destructive nature of sowing discord and causing division among people. I think one day we're going to talk about two important seeds. One that is good, one that's bad, one that helps, and one that destroys. So new Moreh around in our town, I heard maybe he can do something about that. Huh? Are you living a life categorized by integrity, honesty, and compassion while avoiding behaviors that cause harm and division? This can be applied both individually and collectively. Individually, this should challenge you to examine your own actions and attitudes, encouraging you to strive for righteousness and virtue. Collectively, the passage underscores the significance of cultivating healthy relationships and contributing positively to society. You can't live together in the community acting like a fool. That's what it is, deception of a fool. We went through the whole spiel last week of what a fool is, right? And remember this from last week, Proverbs 26:24-26. Whoever hates disguises himself with his lips and harbors deceit in his heart. When he speaks graciously or favor kindness, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations. And what we say this was the H8441? Tobiah, yeah. All right, so there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred be covered with deception, his wickedness will be exposed in the assembly. Now y'all remember what the thing was? You're going to be exposed for what you do, right? A malicious what? You don't think that the other people in the assembly can't understand what type of person you are? If you keep talking and doing the same thing over and over again, that repetitiveness, somebody with some type of wisdom is going to pick up on it. And that could be the start of your demise, that nightmare stage that we talked about in wishful thinking. Go ahead.
Reminds me of a saying I saw somebody say.
I guess pick the mic
I
up,
don't know
man.
if y'all ever heard of Myron Golden. Something he said, whatever a person repeatedly shows you they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. So whatever person repeatedly shows you they are, believe them. So I thought that was interesting.
Is it Maya Angelou?
She might have started that, but this is just the second hand.
In other words, you're saying you exposing somebody for stealing her words. That's what you do. Huh? Right. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Nanaman. Yeah.
Mishael, it was Maya Angelou who said, if a person who shows you who they are, believe them. So that was her.
I appreciate you.
Oh, no problem. Amen. Yeah. Slika. And also in Luke 12:2, when he said, whatever you have said or whatever is done in the dark will soon be revealed in the light. So it's just a matter of time.
Oh, yeah.
Before it's exposed. And those that have wisdom more than likely see it anyway. They just waiting. And I yield.
But sometimes you shouldn't wait. You can wait too long and next thing you know, that blood is on your hands now.
Can, Moreh. Can, absolutely.
Are you your brother's keeper? Or are you just gonna sit back and let them do what they supposed to do what they doing? You can expose yourself doing that. All right. A malicious person plans deceit but seeks to disguise it by his smooth talk. This describes a dishonest or deceitful person who disguises evil intentions with gracious speech. However, the person's wickedness will eventually be exposed. Ultimately, the sins of the deceitful person will lead to destruction, like someone who falls into their own pit. Yeah. Huh? You got a mic? Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of the book of Hadassah. What's his name? Mordecai and what's Haman? Yeah, like he was trying to get Mordecai hang, but he ended up getting hanged in the same.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's like, wait a minute, I ain't supposed to be up here. It was her. No, it was you. Oh yeah. He got what he deserved. What does it mean to heal? We almost done. I know this is boring. We almost done. What does it mean to heal? We at the healing stage now. If you get all through all that other stuff, you can get that out your system. Don't take it to Goodwill. You burn it. You burn that stuff. You don't take it to Goodwill. Go ahead, Nanaman.
Slika, well, it means to get well, to be returned to homeostasis, back to who you were before the injury, to get well, to heal, to get healthy.
Got somebody using bigger words than me, boy. I thought
Slika,
I had.
yeah, homeostasis is
Taurus.
homeostasis is back to balance to the body.
I know what you're talking about. I'm just saying, it's a good word. Hold on, we got someone in the room. Yeah. It's too much, huh? I'm looking at you, huh? Might as well just say it because I ain't gonna stop. I got you.
I was just gonna say too, like accept. I feel like you have to accept a situation before you can begin to heal.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me get Sister Yolanda, then I got you.
To heal means a lot of what she just said, what the Akoti just said, but moreover, that when another situation exposes itself or any triggers come up, you've healed and it doesn't spark a response from you that's toxic or unwanted. That's to accept it and move in a more positive direction. I yield.
Simply put, when you start to heal, like you just said, those triggers won't be triggering. Right? Not necessarily saying that all of them won't trigger, but if you begin the healing process, you can start to move past that.
It's pretty much to be made whole. Like recently I wrote something that's like cure or healing. A lot of people think that cure and healing are the same thing. A person can be cured of a disease, but they can still have some, let's say, the triggers. Okay. But like if you take a person who's been in an accident or something like that, and it's the accident happened, they can't walk. However, they can be healed, but not cured.
Exactly.
So healing is just being made whole.
Oh yeah, it's a level to that stuff. I saw y'all shoot the you had something to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say to be whole as well. Restore yourself back to being whole. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move it on for the youngsters over here. Oh, you got something? Huh? I mean, it's like it's gonna be like an echo anyway. Right.
It's not an echo.
You want to read it? Yeah. Go ahead.
Make free from injury or disease, to make sound or whole, to make well again, to restore to health.
Beautiful, man.
Like poetry in motion. To restore to health, to cause an undesirable condition to be overcome. This also means to mend, right? To patch up a breach or a division, heal a breach between friends. Now, you can't be in a community together until everyone is on the same page and have healed from their past pain. Why is that important? Not only do you have to do the work, but you got to understand it's a trickle-down effect. We just read that with the projection, right? If you still going through something that you got going on, and you get to a point where, remember I said everybody's around you, and you keep doing the same thing over again, somebody else can pick up on that. It's called a stumbling block. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, I also want to say that we want to make sure during this process that we don't create a stumbling block for
Mhm.
others. I mean, it's big. A lot people don't realize that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's where you have, if you're not gonna heal, at least begin the process. So that you won't sit here and try to pull some of that stuff on to other people. But
Yeah, so I was gonna keep it super literal, just for the example.
Uh-huh.
If you have a person who's literally sick, if they have something contagious, they can spread it to other people. And if they have something that's not contagious, but let's say it's a pus, it's pussing everywhere, bleeding everywhere. Now you're pussing on people, just bleeding on people, and you nobody wants that. So
I am so glad we are not monetized, boy. That'll be the end of that. All kind of strikes. Plus, you said plus here in minute 4.
Okay.
Got about 1,000 followers and said, clicked up.
So I like to use this like analogies idea. Like you put those little sticky things on the wall to hang pictures. It always suggests that you clean the wall first before you stick it on, because it has a better chance of adhering. Because if it's slimy, greasy, whatever, it's just gonna slide on off since you take that picture off. So we have to be like clean in order to stick together.
Yes. Going back to the pus situation. What would have been the solution during the Bible days in the camp? What would they have done? But this is going to give you a time to do what? To heal, right? Yes, I'm saying. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say they go outside the camp and they make sure they clean themselves.
Yeah. Now, I want you to understand is that didn't put them out of the community.
Right.
Right. That just because sometimes you might have to go deal with yourself.
Yeah.
I need a sabbatical. I need a time outside of the community so I can deal with myself. And then you're not alone in the situation. You have someone that's there, that's working with you to address the situation so that you can heal properly. And then when they say, okay, you've made progress and the scar is starting to show, the skin is healing, things are coming back to normal, then you can wash yourself, clean your clothes, and then you come back and present yourself back into the community.
There's a difference between being put out the camp and being purged from the camp. And you remember that there were some instances that they had to be outside the camp. There were some instances when the father said you need to purge this camp. All right, it's a big difference. You cut off. That's not here though. We ain't nobody getting purged yet. Yeah. So to Yahuah's thing, what does it mean to become whole? It's a difference between this from healing. Difference. So when you become whole, what does that comprise of? Good.
To be complete.
Ooh, I think that should knock out a whole bunch of hands. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
So I would say that reminds me of the definition of shalom, to be complete, to be whole. So I would say like when you're whole, you're at peace, you're at shalom.
Yes. So Nanamana?
To be whole is to be, my opinion, it means to be not of lack, to be pure, to be strong.
All right. You say Elia?
I was gonna also say complete, but as well as like mature.
All right. I like that one, mature. Who else? Yahuah.
Yeah, also it's like having like a totality about you having all and having everything that you need to be complete and whole. Having all.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Elder.
Whatever the issue was has been purged, and now you're complete.
Mm-hmm. Make me whole, Father. You got any comment on YouTube?
Yeah, so we have healing means to put on a new outlook. So season of refreshing can come in from Abba. And healing can also be real slow, as well as in terms of complete, to be one with the Father's will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one said that healing is going to be instantaneous, especially when you're in this walk. I mean, you're never going to do anything too fast. So what lesson will you learn if he takes away from you too quickly? Yes, huh? I got you.
To lack nothing.
Yeah, I see. Go ahead.
So I want to read from Proverbs 15, verse 4. The King James says, "A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit." But whereas the Scriptures version says a healing tongue is a tree of life. So there's a link between this wholeness, wholesome, and healing.
I agree. Now, Mano.
Wouldn't it also be of to have attained wisdom and knowledge and discernment?
Well, that could be a byproduct of being able to heal, because now you open up yourself to that wisdom and that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be made whole first. Go ahead, man.
Okay, toda.
I got all of the entire, a thing that is complete in itself, an unbroken or undamaged state. Everything's in one piece, and is to be healthy or sound condition, free from sickness or injury. Okay.
You're good, man.
Yeah, that boy's good. Free of the fact of impairment, right? You being intact. Physically sound and health. Oh, that's what you said, huh? Okay. Mentally and emotionally sound. Thinking of this as being sober-minded, ready to tackle what this walk has to offer you, both good and bad. Using the resources that the Father has laid out before you. All right. All right. It's time to heal. Proverbs 3, 5, and 8. We all know about trust, right? To believe, to have faith, put one's trust in something. So you want to trust in Yahuah with all your heart, and do not what? Lean unto your own understanding. And if you put that in perspective, to put trust in with confidence, you confident that you got the answer and not the Father. Well, you know, Father always got the answer, but like you said, it may not be something you want to hear, or you be in denial on the subject. 6, in all your ways acknowledge. What is this? This is the age 30, 45. Yeah, done, right? To know, notice, hear of, learn, right? So in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. You must fear or have a reverence for Yahuah and turn away from evil. It will be what? Healing to your flesh. Now, the Hebrew says navel, right? So in this context, it's referring to your inward parts, right? So it will be healing to your flesh and refreshment or medicine to your bones, right? So spiritually speaking, this is where your help is going to come from. This is your hospital, right? It's you all the way across the field, man. I can't.
So it's connecting your spiritual healing to like your physical healing. And it's kind of seemed like it's saying like when you do these things spiritually, it will also heal you physically.
It can be that way. Just as there's a trickle effect with the negativity, it can be the same way with the positive as well. All right. Remember what I said last week, just like the bad foods you eat in real life, you can starve yourself with the beneficial nutrients you need to grow and be healthy. It's the same thing spiritually. Acting on impulse and letting your feelings ignite your emotions in a negative way can be harmful. Following the path of wisdom and acknowledging the Father will have a positive effect on your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Now, you want to be made whole, have things mended, and be restored? Why don't you look towards the one who can do all of that? And like we said before, at least make that your first attempt. If not, then you're already going to lose the trust you're supposed to have for the Father, thinking you can do it all by yourself. This walk was not designed for us to do things on our own. You must subject yourself to the Father, or else why are you here? Just try to get a title? Mm-hmm. Brother so-and-so, that's what you want? 1 Chronicles 28:9. And you, Solomon, my son, know the Elohim of your father and serve. Now, this is to be conceived as serving the Father, right? It's to worship the Father, to serve him with a whole heart, right? Representing serving in its entirely, constituting the full quantity or extent. All right, completely. You got to do this with your whole heart completely. 1 Kings 8:6-1. Let your heart therefore be holy or completely true to Yahuah our Elohim, walking in his statutes and keeping his commandments as at this day. Okay? You got to make that your first priority. Willingly, not because somebody's pushing you to do it. So, what? No, right? Because you want to get that title and you're thinking that you got to put on a persona that's going to allow you to get that, but that's not going to work in the long run. Because what's going to happen? It will get exposed, right? And serve him with a whole heart and with a willing mind. It goes that willingness. For Yahuah searches all hearts and understands every plan and thought. 1 Samuel 16:7, because I have rejected him, for Yahuah sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance. This can and will fool you every time. But Yahuah looks on the heart. Who you really think you're fooling here? It could be me, that's fine. The Father sees all of that, and then some. Right? If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. There goes that purging we was just talking about. You don't want that, do you? If you want to be in this walk, you have to want to make this a part of your life journey. Oh, I'm sorry. If you want to make this a part of your life journey, then do it. Live a set-apart life and follow the Father and his word wholeheartedly. This verse offers guidance to anyone seeking to deepen their faith and relationship with the Father. It underscores the significance of having a sincere willingness to serve and recognizing that the Father sees the heart and responds to genuine seeking. Now, what we just read, David tells Solomon that if he were to forsake the Father, there will be severe consequences. The Father would reject him forever, right? You have to understand the gravity of spiritual decisions and the importance of staying faithful. You say you trust in him. Right? Deception is only skin deep and will be exposed by the Father. Proverbs 4:20-22. My son, be attentive. You know, we did that whole series on the art of listening, right? So this is to heed, to listen, to hear, and pay close attention to. So be attentive to my words, incline your ear to my sayings. Let them not escape from your sight. Keep them within your heart. For they are life to those who find them, and healing, or in this case, restoration to all their flesh. Now we're dealing with the inner and the outer man. Okay. Hold on to wisdom and instruction tightly. It should be a part of your core beliefs and values. Whatever negative things you place above wisdom and instruction should be replaced by wisdom and instruction. Instructions, right? So how do we get wisdom? It's the fear of what? Okay, I'm seeing where y'all was. Proverbs 8:35 and 36. For whoever finds me, which is to discover, determine the existence or presence of. So whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from Yahuah. But who fails to find me injures himself. This means to ignore the Father and his word. All who hate or despise the Father's word, so all who hate me love death. Okay. Yeah, and that's nobody in here. Wisdom is all up in here, right? It might not be online. I don't hear nobody. But it's okay. Wisdom should be used as a guide when navigating life's challenges, which will allow the blessings that come from seeking understanding and righteousness. Nothing good comes out of unrighteousness. Okay. So now my question is, who's the healer?
The Father is the healer.
Yeah, let me try it one more time because who's the healer? Oh, you're not sure? That's the persona you want to have? Okay. Exodus 15:26. Saying if you will diligently listen to the voice of Yahuah your Elohim and do that which is right in his eyes, not your eyes, in his eyes, and give ear to his commandments and keep all of his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I have put on the Egyptians. For I am Yahuah, your healer. Right? And what is that? H7495? All right. 5, right? And what does it mean? To mend, to cure, to heal, right? This is what you want, right? If you remain faithful, obedient, and attentive to the Father's commands, you will be protected. Can it get more simple? I'm not saying it's easy, but I said, can it get more simple? This outlines a conditional promise that offers both a promise of protection and a call to live righteously. Because we all know the Father's love is conditional, right? You got to do something to get something. Oh, I shouldn't have said. Psalms 94:12-15. I'm keeping going. Blessed is the man. Yeah, on where we gonna go. Blessed is the man whom you discipline. This is the H3256. What is that? Yes, sir. Right. To chastise, to correct. Right. O Yahuah, and whom you teach out of your law, to give him rest from days of trouble until a pit is dug for the wicked. For Yahuah will not forsake his people. He will not abandon his heritage. Wow. Is that what that dream meant? Wow. For justice will return to the righteous, and all the upright in heart will follow. What are you doing as an individual to make sure that this forsaking or abandoning by the Father doesn't happen to you? Wow. That's a question I'm asking. Anybody want to ask? You just want to go back up to what it says up there, huh? Not Amanda?
Oh, Moreh.
No.
What I'm doing is I'm doing my best to follow all his laws, statutes, and commandments. And I'm in his word. And not only that, I'm living out his word. So what he's saying, I'm doing.
Like somebody else says, Exodus 15:26. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. All right. Deuteronomy 8:5. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, Yahuah your Elohim disciplines you. If you are indeed one of the upright in heart, then you should expect and accept correction from the Father. It's a part of your journey in this walk. The minute you don't receive correction is when you need to start questioning what you're doing.
Getting away with it?
So you see that you're doing something wrong, and you wait for that hand to come. Be like, oh, like I did something wrong. Now it was a correction. Now you need to start questioning something. Yeah.
Fatherless.
Yes.
Fatherless.
I don't want to be fatherless. I don't know about you. Pause. Overcoming ourselves and our feelings. This last slide. Romans 12, 1-2. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of Elohim, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, set apart and acceptable to Elohim, which is your spiritual worship. And what do we say worship is? It's just, wow. I said, what did we say? I ain't say what. It's a serve. It's a serve. It's okay. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of Elohim and what is good and acceptable and perfect. Okay. Self-discipline comes only when we learn the art of self-denial. We are in a lifelong struggle against our feelings. Remember, we said you never stop learning. You're never going to have to stop doing the things that are going to be pleasing to the Father. In order to live the Ruach-controlled life, we must die to ourselves. We have to learn to think like those who are set apart in order to behave like those who are set apart. We need to think biblically in order to behave biblically. Right thinking and right behavior will then result in right feelings. You will feel right when you know you have done right, not just by what we think is right. We also need to be careful not to let our feelings rule the various aspects of our lives. While it's important for us to understand how we really feel and why we feel that way, we can never let our feelings become the final standard of right and wrong. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments pertaining to the lesson? No? Huh?
Toda Rabbi Moreh for a wonderful lesson.
Hallelujah. All praise to the Father. All right. If our hearts and minds are clear, we can stand and close.
Shalom, shalom. Toda Moreh, excellent lesson there. And I do have a question pertaining to the lesson. How did you get the little man on your slide? Because he don't look like a little, cartoon character. I like that.
Are you talking about him right here?
Yeah.
I had to pay for him. Yeah, I had to.
Okay, all right.
I had to
like
sell out
that.
some shackles for that.
Hallelujah. All right. If all hearts and minds are clear, let us stand in the presence of the Father. Baruch atah Yahuah Eloheinu melech haolam. We stand before you once more, Abba Yah, with joy in our hearts and the praise on our lips, for your word restores and strengthens us. It is quick and it is powerful and sharper than a two-edged sword, discerning our thoughts and the intentions of our hearts. So we pray that every heart here today was open and receptive to your truth, that the seed sown will take deep root within us and further transform us into the light that you have called us to be. We are grateful for the spiritual food served and the invitation to eat from your table. And may it nourish us and enrich our souls beyond measure. May we grow from the righteous nutrients that you have fed to your children and in turn feed others who are in need. Continue to guide us and order our steps according to your perfect will, Abba Yah. Set your Malachim before us and behind us as our front and rear guard, surrounding us as a hedge of protection that no hurt, harm, or foul may befall any of us. And as we depart from this solemn assembly, may it never be from your presence. As we pray for safe travels on the highways and byways for those heading to their respective homes, and continue to safeguard those of us already in our homes, keeping the shalom and order within all of our dwellings. Lastly, we give thanks and gratitude for the nourishment of our bodies and the meal in which we shall shortly partake of. And we give thanks for the provisions in which you have given that made it possible for us to have this food. And we pray that there be nothing harmful or contaminated within it that might detriment our health or cause us to do anything other than righteousness. Bless the hands that have prepared it and enrich their households with bounty and plenty. We thank you and we love you and barak your Kodesh name, Yahuah Sabaoth, as we plead the blood, power, and authority and asking in the name of our mediator of the renewed covenant and the propitiator of our sins, Yahushua HaMashiach. Hallel to you, Yahuwah, and barak the name of Yahushua. Amen and Selah. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.